Hello, my name is Mike Babb, and this is my YouTube channel, Living in the Illusion. Now, the last time we got together, we talked about why we can't concentrate. Why can't I concentrate? And we went into the Course in Miracles a little bit to come up with why that could be true. And what we found out is, when you think about it, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. So with the mind being unstable and preoccupied with things and thoughts about the past, about what we should have done or didn't do or wish we had done, we have a hard time concentrating. So the conclusion was, heal the past and you release the present. And in the present moment, you can relax. You can concentrate and focus because your mind is at ease. So I'll put a link to that up here. That's where it goes, on that side. I keep pointing the wrong way, but it goes up there. And you can take another look at that, or if you didn't get a chance, see how it affects you. Now this week we're going to be doing a little bit, or this video, a little bit different, because the title is A Course in Miracles, Beginner's Guide to what's outside and beyond you. What's outside of you. We did another video on what's outside, and again I'll put a link up to that corner, and we'll see how that goes. So this week we're going to be talking about what's outside of you. And if you're new to the Course in Miracles, you're in for a mind-changing adventure. If you're new to this channel, you're in for a mind-changing adventure. So thank you for being here. Now, what's outside of us, what's beyond our physicalness? And we have mentioned before in other videos that we're not our body. We're not our body. Body changes and moves, it gets old, it gets frail, it gets strong, particularly when we're younger. And we can do a lot of things with the body, but we are not our body. In other videos, we shared that the body is the servant of the mind. I know in the illusion it doesn't look that way, but everything is in the mind first, and then in the body. So, what's beyond us? What's outside of us? From who you really are, outside of the egoic world, who you really are, there's nothing beyond you. There's nothing outside of you. You're the whole Megillah. You're the whole thing. Now, from the standpoint of the ego, many things are outside of you because you are viewed through that identity as the small self. So when we talk about the original self that came into the illusion, we usually use a capital S to designate that self. And the self associated with the ego is a small s. I don't think I did it in this thing, but I did it in some of the books that I've written. Made that distinction. So what's outside of you? Well, you don't want to necessarily ask science to give you an answer, a scientific answer. For two reasons. Science is preoccupied with trying to figure out what consciousness is, and if consciousness might be what's outside of us. They haven't come to any conclusion in several hundred, maybe thousand years. So we can't look for them to give us any advice on what's outside of us. And I don't know. So we have shared in other videos that what we do is we construct our world inside of us and then project it outside. Now, most people don't think that they're projecting. Projection has been around in mental health industry and psychology for a long time. And Sigmund Freud was the first one that came up with this. He's not the first one in forever, but it's the one we remember. Good old Sigmund came up with, along with his daughter Anne, who worked with him, the idea of ego defense systems. And there were a lot of them. I think there was 19 different ways that the ego defends its territory, which is your identity. One of them is called projection, where in this case it's a fault. You have some kind of a mental fault. You do something and you're guilty about it. You feel guilty. So what you do is you project that guilt outside onto other people so that your ego doesn't feel abused. And you can say, well, you can't blame me for being mad all the time. Look at Susie, look at Charlie, look at all the other. They're a lot madder than I am. So I'm like a saint compared to other people. So you project that outside and you see it reflect back to you, and so that's why you blame them. Very common. But when you get over that and take responsibility, you begin to change your life. So now we're going to talk about what's outside of you, and in the present moment, of course that's all we have is the present moment. You can say, I see nothing as it is now. In your world, in your projection, you see nothing as it is now. And it's also difficult for what the Course calls the untrained mind to believe that it can't see what it thinks it's seeing. So it's in relationship to your beliefs that you can't see what's there to be seen. Your sensory organs do not, and in this case your eyes, they don't see anything. Your eyes don't see objects. Very strange to say that. Your eyes do not see objects or things or the world as it is. Your eyes see wavelengths of energy. Your hearing only has pressure against the eardrum. There's no music outside of you. There's no music. You can't hear music outside of you. You go through the eardrum, those three little bones, into the cochlea and the cilia hanging down, and vibrations, and then input to the brain. Music is an interpretation of the mind. It's not heard in the ear. Smelling is the same way. You don't smell anything directly. It all goes through your olfactory, which you got two olfactory bulbs. And then out of those come signals to the brain, and the brain interprets what you think you smell from the outside. Inside interpretation. And your taste and your feelings are the same way. Your physical feelings. It's all electromagnetic and chemical energy that goes through this body, which isn't you, and you interpret it through the mind, the brain, and the central nervous system. I put those three together because they seem to make sense to do that. So it's all of those things together, not any one. It's a collaboration of all that information. And we've done this before, so I'm going to do it again. I'm going to bring my whiteboard in, and we're going to talk about the senses, the inside, and the outside. Because what's our question? What's outside and beyond you? So stick around, and we'll be back in a flash. Well, I'm back with my little flower. I wanted you to kind of take a look at this little flower. It was on my stand in the first part of the video. This is a flower that I showed before. It was a leftover from 4th of July, had a little bunting around it, and it was dying. There was two of them, a white one and a red one. They're little pea roses. The white one, I got them at a big discount, so I could show them in the video. But this one has survived. The other one bit the dust. And it's coming along pretty good. So it's even got another little rose on it. So anyway, see, there's other things besides just doing videos, you know. There's other interests around. I'll be right back. So I wanted to show you that I've got almost a green thumb because I saved a little tea rose. Now we're back again, and on the board we have what is outside and beyond you. So I started a little diagram, so I got to tell you what it is. Recognize the body. In the body, we have our 5 senses, our 5 organs, who investigate all of this stuff that's outside of you. Now, I open up the back of the head of my little stick figure. And, for instance, the eye, number 1, the eye is connected to the brain, the lower part of the brain. This one that looks like a little bean, kidney bean, represents the brain. And so the eye, the information from the eye goes to the brain. The ear, on the inside, through the cochlea and the 3 bones and all of that, the information goes to the brain. The nose, olfactory, information goes to the brain. Tongue, taste, information comes out of that and goes to the brain. Hands, these are the 2 hands right here, see? And that information through all of this is central nervous, peripheral and central nervous information that goes to the brain. So what's it picking up? What is the senses picking up? What's outside of you? In other words, what's outside of you and beyond your thinking about the body and beyond you as a body. What's outside of you? Energy. In the form of information. Out here is energy. Now I know that you're thinking, well, there's physical stuff there. No physical stuff. It's information. It's only information. Science will tell you that. Not Newtonian physics, quantum physics will tell you that. It's only energy. And the energy is picked up by the senses. And the senses don't analyze it, don't determine what it is. They can't turn it off. In other words, they can't make a decision. Well, I want to look at this and I don't want to look at that. Or when that's bad and this is good. The eye doesn't do that. The tongue doesn't do that. The nose, none of the senses do that. They don't make any decisions. Your eyeball cannot move to look at anything without your brain signaling the muscles to move. Your eye does nothing but transmit information. Your ears do nothing but transmit information. Your hands grasping, holding, in this case, the marker. All of that information, all of that ability to grasp the marker comes from this inside of you, what we're calling inside of you. And I put that together as the mind, the brain, and the central nervous system. Now, in Newtonian physics, they'll put other stuff on it. They'll call it other stuff. But basically, all your senses do is just transmit information. Magnificent as they are, they just transmit information. Now, I drew a little squirrely red line around the brain to represent the mind. All of your memories, your past experiences, your belief systems, your values, your moral judgment are all in the mind. Can't find one in the brain. Can't find one memory in the brain. A lot of good theories about where it might be and how it operates in the brain. Never found one. But science, Newtonian physics, will tell you, well, we're right on the verge. We're going to do it tomorrow. I know we said we were going to do it 10 years, 15, 20 years ago, but we're right on the edge, and we're going to find a memory in here. Can't find one yet. So I'm suggesting that memories are not in the brain. That makes me a heretic in the scientific community. But we can't find it, so the evidence is it's not there. Now, I named these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your sensory input. What's outside of you? What's outside and beyond the body? Memories. All you have is memories. I'm picking up my notes. Now let's go back to what the Course says. I see nothing as it is. Whatever you think is out here, you don't see it. You see, not with the eyes, not with the tongue, not with the nose, not with the hands. You experience this outside as an inside interpretation. As an inside interpretation. So what's outside of you? Well, I keep saying it's energy. I call it energy. Other people, and science is trying to find out, might it be consciousness? Might it be consciousness? And then what is consciousness? Well, if we have consciousness out here, we have consciousness in here. Because that energy outside of us is infinite as far as we know. It's infinite. And the funny thing about infinite, being infinite, it's omnipresent, which means it's everywhere. Which means if it's out here, consciousness, it's in here, consciousness. If it's in here, it's over here. If it's over there, it's in the mind. And is the mind conscious? Has to be. It's energy. So what does the Course say? You can't see anything the way it is. Because what's out here, you are making an interpretation of in here. Now, what are you using to make your interpretation? From what you know, which is your past experiences. your memories. So you are making up a world inside of you based upon the data, which is information from the infinite outside. I call it disturbed energy. And we talked about this in other videos, and I'll see if I can come up with it. I don't know if I can. Because out here is energy, just flowing energy. And you might think of it as fields of energy, different frequencies. And they crisscross. They go one way, and they go another way, and they interfere. And when they interfere, as we talked about not too long, I think it was the last one, they develop a pattern, like a whirlpool in a river. And the pattern is fixed, but the energy flows. And you look, and your eyeball sees this pattern, and it radiates to the eye, and the eye passes the information about this disturbed energy to the mind, brain, through the central nervous system, and makes an interpretation. If the interpretation is a ball, a red ball, the ball is inside of you, and you project it onto the disturbed energy. And so when you touch the disturbed energy with your hand, it's going to feel like what you have interpreted on the inside. In the illusion, nothing is what you think it is. Here, as I stated in the last video, if you can begin to appreciate that you are so much more than you think you are, if you can appreciate that this isn't real out here, it's a flowing energy system of which you are taking information to the inside and creating your world, which you project onto the outside energy system. And when you reach out into the energy outside system with your senses, you are going to duplicate this inside information. When you begin to recognize nothing is what you think it is, and you know that to be true, you can begin to relax. You can begin to let go of your past interpretations, which are now memories, and begin to play with life in a new way, in a more childlike way. I like the word childlike because I read somewhere not long ago, if you want to see beyond yourself, you have to become as a little child. You have to become as a little child. And when you become as a little child, you have more fun. When you can let go of the past, which no longer serves you, you can have more fun in the present moment. And as you come closer to the present moment, you come closer to the now moment. You come closer to now. And you begin to see now as it is. Your eyes do not judge. They make no decisions. They don't care what data that they are collecting. They can't aim themselves. They just gather and transmit data, and that's all. All that you think of as seeing, all that you think of as seeing is an interpretation in the mind. Has nothing to do with your senses. Now, they take the information. It is how you interpret it based upon your past that determines your world, not the senses. A hard lesson. A hard lesson. Now, in A Course in Miracles, in the workbook, the first 220 lessons are designed to begin to break down the programming that has been put in place so that you can begin to see the now moment as it is. So stay tuned. We'll be doing more of these talks in relationship to reprogramming the subconscious mind, to reprogramming the subconscious mind. In the meantime, be good to yourself, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time we get together. Bye now.